In the deep forests of the Czech Republic, about an hour north of Prague, there's a 13th century castle that seems to be built all wrong. It has no easy access to water, no trade routes to protect, and some of its defenses bizarrely face inward, as if guarding against something already inside. The official story is that it was an administrative building, but local legend tells a much darker tale. It says Houska Castle wasn't built to keep invaders out. It was built to keep something terrifying asterisk for centuries. People have claimed this Gothic structure was constructed for one horrifying purpose: to seal a gateway to hell. So what were they supposedly so desperate to contain? And what happens when a seal like that starts to crack? Before we get to the demons and darkness, the castle itself is a genuine historical puzzle. It was built in the latter half of the 13th century, likely under the rule of King Ottokar II of Bohemia, officially to serve as an administrative center for royal estates. But that explanation starts to feel a little thin when you look closer. Fortresses are usually built for survival and control. They need a strategic spot, like overlooking a road or border. They need a reliable water source to survive a siege. Houska Castle has neither. It was built in a remote patch of forests and swamps, far from any real trade route. It has no natural water source and had to rely on a cistern to collect rainwater, major weakness for any defensive building. But the most puzzling feature is the layout of its defenses. While many have been altered over time, the original design had features that have led to speculation that it was built to contain something. This interpretation of the architecture, combined with its strange location, has fueled a chilling question for centuries. What was supposedly so dangerous that it required a castle to be built like a cage around it? According to local folklore, the answer is the stuff of nightmares. The legends about this place are even older than the castle itself. For generations, locals spoke of a deep, dark hole in the limestone cliff where the castle now stands, a fissure that was said to be bottomless. They called it the pit, but they believed it was more than just a hole. At night, terrifying things were said to crawl out. The stories describe a parade of horrors emerging from the chasm after dark. Not just ghosts, but grotesque, physical monsters, half-animal, half-human hybrids and dark, winged creatures that terrorize the countryside. The legend says they dragged away livestock and even people.
Ow.
All attempts to fill the hole with stones were said to be useless. It just seemed to swallow anything thrown into it. Fear grew, and as the folktale goes, a local duke decided to get answers. He offered a pardon to a prisoner on death row if he would agree to one condition: be lowered by rope into the pit and report what he saw. The condemned man agreed. As villagers and soldiers watched, they began to lower him into the dark. After just a few moments, a blood-curdling scream echoed from the depths. They frantically pulled the rope back up, but the man they retrieved was horribly changed. His hair had turned stark white, and he was hopelessly insane, having aged decades in mere seconds. He died a few days later, unable to speak of what he'd seen. While this is a vivid tale, there is no historical record of this ever happening. After this supposed event, the legend concludes that the pit couldn't be studied or filled. It had to be sealed. The only solution, according to the legend, was to cap the gateway itself. Thick stone slabs were supposedly laid over the hole, and a holy place, a chapel, was built directly on top of it to act as a permanent spiritual lock. This is why, at the very heart of Houska Castle, there is a Gothic chapel dedicated to the Archangel Michael, the leader of God's army against the forces of evil. But even this chapel has its own quirks that feed the legends. While most of the frescoes on its walls are typical for the period, they include some unusual imagery. The most famous is a depiction of a half-human, half-horse creature, a centaur, who is an archer. Stranger still, she is left-handed, which in some medieval art was a symbol associated with the sinister. It's an odd pagan-style detail for a Christian chapel, leaving some to wonder if the art was influenced by whatever the chapel was meant to contain. Centuries later, during the 30 Years' War in the 17th century, a Swedish commander named Orent was killed at the castle. Over time, his story became twisted into a local legend of a black magician named Orento, who conducted profane experiments, trying to attain eternal life before being assassinated by terrified peasants. During World War II, Houska Castle, was confiscated and occupied by the German Wehrmacht. This is where the story takes another dark turn. Heinrich Himmler, a high-ranking Nazi official, was notoriously obsessed with the occult and believed ancient locations could be used to help the Third Reich. While the castle had no real strategic value, it's widely believed the Nazis chose it specifically for its sinister reputation. What exactly happened at Houska during the war is a mystery, as records were destroyed. However, local rumors from the time are chilling. Villagers reported seeing strange lights and hearing horrifying sounds coming from the castle. This has led to rampant speculation that the SS were conducting occult experiments, possibly trying to harness the power of the so-called gateway. While these claims are based on rumor and not concrete evidence, the Nazi occupation added a layer of real, modern horror to the castle's ancient folklore. After the war, the castle was eventually returned to the descendants of its pre-war owners, the Zimanek family, and was opened to the public in 1999. But opening the doors hasn't quieted the stories. Houska is considered one of the most paranormally active locations in the world. Visitors and staff report encounters with shadowy figures on the upper walkways of the courtyard and the ghost of a headless black horse galloping through the grounds. Some have seen an apparition of a woman in a white dress perpetually gazing from a window. Disembodied voices, footsteps in empty rooms, and unnerving screams are common. Paranormal investigators have documented sudden temperature drops and equipment malfunctions. It seems that the legends of Houska Castle continue to live on, staining the atmosphere with a palpable sense of dread. What's the real story of Houska Castle? Is it just a strangely designed administrative building that has inspired centuries of fantastic ghost stories? A place whose spooky atmosphere was amplified by its dark chapter under Nazi occupation? Or is it possible that the medieval builders really did find a place where the veil between our world and another was terrifyingly thin? They built a stone cage to protect us from what was on the other side. The castle stands today, a silent stone sentinel in the Czech forest. It doesn't offer easy answers, only more questions. It remains a paradox of architecture, a collection of dark history, and a monument to a primal fear. What do you think is the truth behind Houska Castle? Is it a genuine portal to another dimension, or just one of the world's most elaborate and long-lasting ghost stories? Let us know your thoughts in the comments. If you enjoy exploring history's darkest mysteries, be sure to subscribe. We have many more journeys into the unknown to come.